comeback.
The Houston Astros were not a large part of any preseason conversation, but they started strong and they stayed strong, winning the National League West with a club record 96 wins. And no clincher was ever more dramatic than Houston. A no-hitter by Mike Scott.
Now the hitter is Will Clark. He's 0 for 3. Swinging a bouncer. This could be it. Davis runs to the bag. Game is over. No-hitter. Astros win the championship. What a way to do it. A no-hitter. Mike Scott has just thrown his first career no-hitter, and the Astros are the National League champions of the West.
ABC Sports. In the opening game, the pitchers, Dwight Gooden for the Mets. They call him Dr. K for good reason. Mike Scott for the Astros. Lately, he's been called great, also for good reason. When it opened in April 1965, it was called the eighth wonder of the world, the Astrodome. It was so impressive, even the name of the primary tenant was changed from Colt 45s to the Houston Astros. That's part of the compromise, I guess, of moving the game of baseball indoors. Hello again, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson, and welcome to the 1976 National League Championship Series. As you know, I am sure this, for the second year, is a best of 7, and many people feel this matchup between the Astros and the Mets could well go the limit. These two teams came into being in 1962. The Mets have been to 2 World Series. They won in 69, they lost in 73. The Astros have never been to the World Series. They were the Western Division champions in 1980, but they lost in 5 games to the Philadelphia Phillies, one of the great playoff series of all time. And one picture still sticks in my mind in the aftermath of that exciting series. It was this. Outfielder, the brilliant outfielder of the Houston Astros, Jose Cruz, sitting all by himself, tears running down his face after the great effort. So close, but just 1 run short. And I should tell you, it is still a burr under the saddle of 6 of these Houston Astros who took part. We'll talk specifics about this series with Tim McCarver in just a moment.
This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Castro, the motor oil engineered for today's smaller cars.
1 year, Tim McCarver. Timmy, you get looking at these two teams and the pitching staffs, you get infatuated with it. You think anybody's going to score any runs, or we're going to have a week-long game?
Well, the reason you become infatuated with the pitching staffs is that the New York Mets lead the league in ERA, and the Houston Astros are second. As a matter of fact, I'd be very, very surprised if either club scored more than 5 runs, even if the games went to 7 games, the maximum. The New York Mets are going with a 4-man starting staff, headed by Dwight Gooden tonight, of course, and Mike Scott heads a 3-man staff. And depending on how many pitches Scott throws tonight, he will probably come back on Sunday. Both bullpens are strong. However, the Mets have a bullpen that includes Roger McDowell, a right-hander, and Jesse Orosco, a left-hander. And the Houston Astros, while they have Dave Smith with 33 saves on the year, are missing one element.
Keith Hernandez says this.
I think that you have to have left-handers in the bullpen to beat us. They got Darryl Strawberry and myself. We got, with left-handers pitching, we don't have Backman and Dykstra in the lineup. And I feel that if you don't have the left-handers to do that, to turn us around, I think that's a negative. I think all the clubs this year, particularly St. Louis, brought in left-handers in relief after we knocked out a starter. They have Deshays, who's going to be there, and Calhoun. And both are obviously good pitchers. But you've got Deshays in a situation he's never been in before. He started all year, and he has a tendency to be a wild high. So that could be a key, but then again, that couldn't be a key. Who's to say? It's just going to be a real tough series.
Well, Jim Deshays won 12 games, but primarily as a starter this year. Jeff Calhoun could be a situation pitcher where he comes in the middle innings. The one problem, I think both managers are going to go with their starters so long that I think all long relievers are going to be out unless the games become extra inning ball games.
Could be, and you know, there's always, Walter Mitty jumps up every year, doesn't he?
certainly
know who he's going to be. So it could be Calhoun. It could be almost anybody on either side. But let's go now to the offensive side of it, presuming we do have some base runners in this series. And I thought it was interesting to talk to Hal Lanier as to whether or not he might change his tactics, maybe a different kind of a game plan in a 7-game series. So I put the question to him, and this is how he answered it yesterday.
No, Keith, I think, we have to stay within ourselves. That's the most important thing in the playoffs, and especially during the season, too. But, we've played very aggressive ball throughout the whole season, and we're going to continue to play that. We have to get our first 2 people on. We have to steal bases. We have to put pressure on the defense. And this is one of the reasons why we won the Western Division and why we won 96 ball games. So, they're going to have the green light unless, we get way behind and late in the ball game and where we need a 3-run home run from a Glenn Davis or whoever. We'll put the hole on them. But other than that, we're going to play the same brand of baseball that we played throughout the whole season.
You got to expect them to be hauling it. If they do get those first 2 guys on, they got to be running on Gary.
There's no doubt about it. But Gary's really better than Alan Ashby. I like Gary's chances better than I do Ashby's. And both staffs are going to make it tough on the catchers because both staffs are slow to home plate. But we're going to probably do a little pitching out or something early, give them something to think about.
I think that's one of the most revealing things. The passive baseball viewer may not realize that most of that burden of holding those guys or keeping the guys from running from base to base to base belongs to the pitcher.
As a matter of fact, Dwight Gooden, with his illustrious career, he's won 58 games, and he's allowed 109 stolen bases, and only 19 have been caught stealing while he's been pitching. I think one of the keys was when Davey Johnson said that his catcher, Gary Carter, will be pitching out. Carter threw better in the last half than he did in the first half, and Alan Ashby's always been an underrated catcher, in my opinion.
Okay, the California Angels and Boston Red Sox are now 1-1 in their series, and Jim Lampley will update us on that after this.
Green Bay, Wisconsin, 20 below.
Threats of the Houston Astros, and tonight they play Game 1 in the 1986 National League Championship Series.
Brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Coors and Coors Light, beers with a difference worth tasting. By IBM and the growing family of IBM personal computers. And by Allstate. For home, auto, and life insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate.
We're standing by for the introduction of the starters in tonight's ball game. The other players are being introduced at this time. And Tim McCarver, I expect when the Mets starters are introduced, this Houston crowd's going to jump on them. In case you don't know, they had a little thing down here earlier in the year in which 4 players got into a scuffle at a bar with some of the Houston police. And the players lost. And there's been a to-do about it. 2 of them arraigned, and they're coming back down here for a trial, I guess, later this year, probably in November. But all that did was help to season the rivalry between these 2 people in a building that I guess ranks as one of the loudest in the country.
As a matter of fact, it started a rivalry that was non-existent up until that time. The one thing about this ballpark, the noise cannot escape. It gets very, very loud here.
All right, now here are the introduction of the starting players for tonight's ball game. The PA announcer is J. Fred Duckett.
And now here are the starting lineups for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series for the Eastern Division champion Mets. The manager, number 5, Davey Johnson. Leading off, igniter of the Mets offense. He stole 31 bases. Number 4, center fielder Len Dykstra. Batting second, he hit a career high 320 during the regular season. Number 6, second baseman Wally Backman. Batting third, he finished among the league leaders in batting average, hits, runs, and game-winning RBIs. Number 17, first baseman Keith Hernandez. Batting fourth, the only Mets player to knock in 100 or more runs in 2 seasons. Number 8, catcher Gary Carter. Batting fifth, he became the first National Leaguer to be voted a starter on the All-Star team in each of his first 3 Major League seasons. Number 18, right fielder Darryl Strawberry. Batting sixth, he's been with the Mets longer than any other current Mets player. Number 1, left fielder Mookie Wilson. Batting 7, the 8th leading hitter in the National League. Number 22, third baseman Ray Knight. Batting 8th, he hit .280 in the last 33 games of the season. Number 3, shortstop Rafael Santana. Batting 9th and warming up in the bullpen, the 1985 Cy Young Award winner, number 16, Dwight Gooden. And now for your Western Division champion, Houston Astros. The manager, number 22, Hal Lemire. Leading off, he was second on the club and 8th in the National League in stolen bases, number 28, center fielder Billy Paxton. And second, he led the Astros in walks, runs, and stolen bases, number 19, second baseman Bill Doran. Batting third, he set career highs in every offensive category this season, number 29, third baseman Denny Walling. Batting fourth, the second Astro ever to hit 30 home runs in a season, number 27, first baseman Glenn Davis. Batting fifth, he had the fourth highest batting average in the National League, number 17, right fielder Kevin Vine. Batting sixth, four-time Astros most valuable player, number 25, left fielder Jose Cruz. Batting seventh, he has caught 3 no-hitters in his major league career, number 14, catcher Alan Ashby. Batting eighth, a native Houstonian who is making his second league championship appearance, number 12, shortstop Craig Reynolds. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, he became only the second right-hander and 4th National League hurler to strike out 300 batters in a season, number 33, Mike Scott. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you will please remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Texas Army National Guard.
I can just imagine the public address announcer at Shea Stadium already beginning to hone for his introduction when they come back there. Huh? Michael White now will sing the national anthem.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Mets and your Houston Astros invite you to honor America and join Michael White in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night of our victory. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave proof
been a pretty good year in the city of Houston. They had the Rockets playing for the NBA championship, and now they've got the Astros going for the National League pennant. And you know what? He knows what he's doing, because he was the captain of the 1948 Yale team. Wait a minute, I'll take it back. I tell you, the kind of schedule and rigors of life that this man goes through on a daily basis right now would shorten up your throw a little bit anyway.
He deserves to lose a couple of yards off the fastball. That's right.
He's going to stop by and visit with us in a little while, but he has a baseball background. Played on the Yale team, first baseman, 47 and 48, and captained the team in 1948. All right, we're ready to go as the Houston Astros take the field, and Mike Scott goes toward the pitching mound, and there's been a lot made about Mike Scott scuffing the ball. I put the question to the New York Mets manager, Davey Johnson, yesterday, and this was his reply.
Well, not really. I'm going to leave that up to each individual player. If they don't like the way the ball acted, they can certainly have the right to ask the umpire to look at it. Unfortunately, while we're in Houston, the ball, if it's thrown out, is thrown out on the wrong side, so I can't look at it. But I'm sure that the umpires will take things in their hands if a lot of the balls are being scuffed.
Gary Carter has been the fellow that has been making most of the noise, I guess, about Mike Scott scuffing the ball, and Doug Harvey is behind the plate tonight, and I talked to him, and if we have an opportunity, we'll drop that little bit of information and his perspective of it in. All right, the Astros are in the field. Outside, it is Cruz, Hatcher, and Bass in the outer perimeter. Inside on the infield, it is Davis at first, Doran at second, Reynolds at short, Walling at third. Denny Walling playing third tonight. Phil Garner probably be over there tomorrow night. Alan Ashby back at the plate. Mike Scott with a record of 18 and 10, an earned run average of 2.22, is on the mound. And though he gets most of his publicity off his split-fingered fastball, he has some other tools as well.
He's got an outstanding